ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਹੈਲਥ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ। ਮੇਰਾ ਸਾਥ ਦੇਣਗੇ ਐਲਨ ਗਲੈਸਰ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਫਾਰਮਾਸਿਸਟ ਹਨ। ਪਿਛਲੇ 40 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਐਸ ਫਾਰਮਾਸਿਸਟ ਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ UBC ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਇਆ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਫੋਕਸ ਰਹੇਗਾ ਬਲੈਡਰ ਅਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਸਟ੍ਰੇਟ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ। ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਿਉਂ-ਜਿਉਂ ਏਜ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਆਮ ਹੀ ਸੁਣਨ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਉੱਠ ਕੇ 3-4 ਵਾਰੀ ਵਾਸ਼ਰੂਮ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਬਲੈਡਰ ਨੂੰ ਖਾਲੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਪ੍ਰੋਸਟ੍ਰੇਟ ਦੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਤੇ ਬਲੈਡਰ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਟੈਕਲ ਸਹੀ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, ਆਓ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਐਲਨ ਗਲੈਸਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Harpreet.
Thank you. Today we would like to know from you about the bladder issues and prostrate issues. It's generally, many times we hear from elderly people that at night they have to get up and go to the washroom 3-4 times or even more time. And that's a big problem. They can't have enough sleep and it's a major issue. So tell us first of all, why does this problem arise and what are the remedies for this?
Okay, so in men, the most common issue is increased size of our prostate.
Okay.
So prostate is just a gland that sits over the tube that exits from the bladder, okay? So the penis. So it's a gland that sits over top of it. So that was the tube that leads from the bladder out.
Okay.
There's a gland called the prostate that sits over top. And guess what happens? In men, as we age, it gets larger and it squeezes this tube into a smaller diameter.
Okay.
So you can't empty the bladder totally. The number one thing that men do, of course, we have to stand up, we have to urinate, and that sometimes doesn't empty our bladder.
Okay.
So if you're a man and you're having to get up at night 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times at night,
Right.
the first thing you do is you sit down when you have to urinate, when you have to pee. So sit down to pee. That physical change will empty the bladder out more. So you'll put more urine out when you have to pee. So that'll help decrease the frequency, number one thing. Now, number two is if we could help the prostate shrink a little bit, that's what some of our drugs do.
Right.
Okay, so we have prescription drugs that help that prostate shrink. The other thing that happens is there is a sphincter. Okay, there's a muscle that controls when the urine flows or doesn't flow. If that's too tight, because it can be too tight,
Right.
and you can't relax it, that's another reason you can't empty the bladder. So there's another drug for that.
Okay.
Okay, which is on prescription. Obviously, you have to talk to your doctor. In terms of now natural products, you understand in men how this happens.
Right.
Similarly, in women,
Yeah.
they can have to have frequent urination too, and their problem is probably an overactive bladder, meaning it fills up with a little bit of urine, and then there's the urge to pee. So you have to go to the washroom, sometimes very quickly, because that is a very severe urge, and you know, some people can leak urine. That's why they end up having to wear Depends and things like that, because they won't get to the washroom. It can be
Right.
that urgent. They can't make it to the washroom to pee. So then you end up wearing Depends.
Okay.
So for the first thing, for men, we use things like this. What you'll look on the label of products is things like pumpkin seed,
Right.
beta-cytosterol, stinging nettle. These are all natural substances that over the years, hundreds of years of herbal solutions
Right.
have proven effective to decrease nighttime frequency. So you don't, in men, you don't have to go and pee as frequently.
Right.
The latest thing, so that's very effective. And in this particular one, Prostrate 2X, it's got two of the most commonly known natural products, which
Okay.
is beta-cytosterol, that's what you'd look for on a thing, and that pumpkin seed or stinging nettle. So that's one solution for men.
Okay.
Now also for men and women, then you have this new product called Sagapro, which comes from a plant from Iceland. It's wild crafted, meaning that they go out in the ice fields, in the forest, and look for this.
Right.
And this is specifically for overactive bladder.
Okay.
So an overactive bladder can happen in men and women. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And you need either one or two of these things a day. And again, it would decrease your nighttime or daytime even
Right.
frequency to urinate, because that's how these things work.
Right.
And of course, you do have prescription drugs as a final solution.
Right.
Otherwise, in men, they have the surgery where they actually open up the passageway and they cut back the prostate, which is called a tupper, which again is very common.
Right.
Unfortunately, sometimes you lose control of the bladder when they do this. Although
Right.
the newest procedures avoid that.
Okay. So is the prostrate just a tract for passage of your urine, or prostrate has some other functions also? Is it connected with your sex drive or something?
Yeah, well, it is connected with the passage of sperm through the penis.
Right.
You need that, the fluids that the prostrate has, in order for that to happen.
So if the prostrate is not fine, that affects your sex drive also?
No.
No.
No, that it's just
It's just a passage or tract.
It's there to make sure the passageway is clear,
Right.
so that the sperm get through.
Right. So are there complications arise if your prostate is not functioning properly?
It usually, the complication is, one, that's obviously you get prostate cancer because
Right.
the cells go haywire. It's not very well supplied with blood. It sounds funny, but it's called perfusion.
Okay.
And that's probably why we have problems in enlargement and essentially cancer, although you can have prostate cancer for many, many years and it won't
Right.
kill you. Unfortunately, you'll pass away of some other disease,
Right.
not prostate cancer. So that's the biggest problem with the prostate.
Right.
And you can get an infection there that won't go away because
Okay.
our drugs depend on the blood flow, and that, it sounds funny, but it's actually poorly supplied with blood.
Right.
So
And
you have to
also-
take high doses of antibiotics to get rid of the problem.
Okay. And also, Ellen, is drinking of water at night, also one of the reasons that you have to get up at night more often, or what precautions should be taken, basically?
So one of the solutions many people have, say after 5 or 6 o'clock at night, they avoid drinking fluids. But again, if your problem is not emptying the bladder,
Right.
that isn't a solution, really. If your problem is, even with a little bit of urine, you
Right.
have the urge to pee,
Right.
that's called like an overactive bladder. So it's not necessarily a solution. Now, the other thing is if you drink caffeinated drinks, so
Right.
whether it's tea or coffee or cola, right, any kind, it's all filled with caffeine.
Right.
And caffeine makes you pee. It actually tells your kidneys to get rid of water
Dehydrates you.
and can dehydrate you,
Yeah.
and so can alcohol.
Okay.
So caffeine and alcohol will want to make you pee. So not necessarily just the water. So you
Right.
can still drink a little water at night, but you need to avoid caffeine and alcohol,
Right.
especially at night, because that'll make you want to get up and pee.
So generally it is at, starting at age 50, 60 onwards, or it can happen before also?
You know, it can happen at any age. Okay, overactive bladder,
Yeah.
it's not defined by age.
Right.
Where a little bit of urine in the bladder causes you the urge to pee, that can happen anytime.
Right.
But in terms of frequent urination at night, that most commonly happens, especially in men, right? In our 50s, 60s, where this prostrate is starting to grow bigger and restrict the flow of urine.
Right.
I mean, you've heard people say you can pee like a racehorse. Well, as we age, if you're in your 70s and 80s, the flow doesn't come out as strong.
Right.
So you don't always empty the bladder. So
Okay.
therefore, you got that urge, you still have to pee some more.
Right.
The simplest thing is sit down,
Right.
then, and urinate.
And as you mentioned, these supplements can help you, that your prostate can be stronger, and this issue can be tackled to some extent.
Yes, we can,
Right.
we can help,
Wonderful.
looks like decrease the size of the prostate to open up the opening and let better flow.
Right. Great. Thank you for your perspective.
Thank you.
ਅੱਜ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ, ਐਲਨ ਗਲੈਸਰ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਬੜੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਸਮੱਸਿਆ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਅਕਤੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਉੱਠ ਕੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਵਾਸ਼ਰੂਮ ਜਾਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ 3, 4, 5 ਵਾਰੀ ਐਜ਼ ਦ ਏਜ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਸਟ੍ਰੇਟ ਇੱਕ ਟਰੈਕਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਿਸ਼ਾਬ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਮਰਦਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਕਿ ਬਲੈਡਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੂਰਾ ਖਾਲੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਬਜਾਏ ਕਿ ਮਰਦ ਖਲੋ ਕੇ ਪਿਸ਼ਾਬ ਕਰਨ, ਉਹ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਸੀਟ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਪਿਸ਼ਾਬ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੈਗਾ ਏਜ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੀ ਹੈਗਾ, ਪਰ ਨਾਲ ਜੇਕਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਸਟੈਪਸ ਲਈਏ ਉਸ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਚ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਮਿਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਨਾ ਪੀਣਾ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ, ਜਾਂ ਕੈਫੀਨੇਟਡ ਡਰਿੰਕਸ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਡੀਹਾਈਡਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਅਰਜ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪਿਸ਼ਾਬ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ। ਪ੍ਰੋਸਟੇਟ ਨੂੰ ਸਟਰੋਂਗ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਨੈਚੁਰਲ ਐਂਜ਼ਾਈਮਸ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਕੰਸਲਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਮਾਰਕਸ ਫਾਰਮੇਸੀ ਜੋ ਕਿ 120 ਸਟਰੀਟ ਅਤੇ 80 ਐਵਨਿਊ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ।